Hi, Matt Stait here from the Festival of Martial Arts, and today we've got with us Raj Soren. Hi, Raj, how are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. And yourself?
Oh, I'm good, my friend. Thanks for coming on. The way that I start these is always the same. So, I ask if you can just give us a brief overview of yourself, who you are, what you do, just for those that may not have heard of you.
Fantastic. Well, I've been doing Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, which is Shorinji Khan Jiu-Jitsu, which is part of the Jiu-Jitsu Foundation for nearly 40 years now. And that's predominantly based at universities and towns up and down the country. So we're one of the largest Jiu-Jitsu organisations within the British Jiu-Jitsu Association. I'm actually teaching in Bradford for the last 20 years, both juniors and seniors, and lots of other martial arts I do as well. I'm a second dan in Aikido. I also do HEMA, Historical European Martial Arts, and more recent times I started doing BJJ. But I'm also a published author, a bit like self, Matt, and I've written books on confidence building, coping with stress, and a kids anti-bullying book. So I'm fairly busy like yourself.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's a wide and varied sort of experience there over a long time. What I tend to do is just just have a little chat about things, really. So the first thing on this is the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu itself. Now, obviously, we've moved into a world where when people say Jiu-Jitsu, most people now think about BJJ because that's what sort of come to the fore. But there are distinct differences, aren't there? Could you give us your opinion on what those differences are?
Yes, I mean, because I'm doing both martial arts now in terms of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Predominantly Japanese Jiu-Jitsu is a lot more standing up in terms of its throwing, locking systems, as well as the Kazushi, taking balance and applying weapons as well, utilizing defense against weapons, multi-arm attacks. But we do about 25 to 30% on the ground as well. Whereas I found in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's amazing in terms of the skill level on the ground, lots of blocking and chokes, and the incorporation in more competitions, whereas Japanese Jiu-Jitsu have less competitions as well. And I found Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has helped my traditional Jiu-Jitsu to understand the locking systems a lot better, the hold downs, and definitely the arm bars, and lots of whether it's locking systems within using the legs, the ankles, even wrist locks are coming into it as well. So that's sort of my experience personally, but I'm sure there's more differences.
Yeah, no. It's just one of those for people that may not sort of have tried both, and it is interesting when you talk to people that have done both because there are distinct differences. And what I find is they do actually complement one another. They don't, they're not two differences. They're the
Yes.
same thing, just different nuances of. So when we look at that, you mentioned Aikido as well. Now Aikido gets a rough trot sometimes, doesn't it? There's a lot of people that have opinions on Aikido and may never have actually experienced it or had a go with
Yes.
it or anything. So again, could you give us a little overview on Aikido and your thoughts on that?
Sure. There's lots of variety of Aikido out there. I've started the last 12 years now in Iwama style Aikido. So it's more the tougher and more difficult one to sort of master from my experience. And they say, well, there's not much striking in Aikido. But for my teachings, for my sensei, who is Tony Sargent, 6th Dan, he emphasizes Temi is literally 90% of Aikido. So when it's taught elsewhere, there's a lot of flowing martial art movement within certain Aikido styles. One I do is very applicable to this modern day era when we have to defend ourselves and strike a lot to take balance, then to put on the particular locking systems or throwing systems that you use in Tenkan. So from my experience, I used Aikido for weapons as well, Bukiwaza. So use of Ken and Jo and Tanto. So I found it extremely useful. But I understand that some people will say, well, it's not real martial arts, it's a bit flowery. But from my experience, that's not the case.
Yeah, again, there's so many different flavors of Aikido, isn't there? That there is, it really is quite a mixed bag. But again, not everybody has to do martial arts to get into the UFC. There are lots of different
Yes.
ways why people want to do martial arts, and whatever. Well, as long I believe in honesty, basically, as long as people are honest about what they're doing, then there's absolutely no problem there at all. So it's one of those sort of traditional arts that I think if I can be honest, from an outsider looking in, when it comes to Aikido, it's one of those arts that I think is struggling a little bit with regards to how they're going to present themselves in a modern world.
Yes.
And I think that's really where the problem is. Once they've sort of figured that out, it's great. I mean, I know some lovely people that are within Aikido, so I'm sure it will get resolved as it goes along, and I'm sure it will figure itself out. So, but then you said you've gone into HEMA as well. So when you talked about the weapons there, obviously HEMA historical, looking at that, is there a similarity, or does it appear to be sort of completely different ways of coming at the same thing?
Yeah, I think there's some common ground in terms of foot movement and distance, making sure that whether you're punching, kicking, or they're using a weapon like a long sword or saber, important thing is that can you defend yourself? Can you keep the distance? Can you attack from the right position? Can you make sure you're safe? So I've found that they're definitely complementary, and that's why I'm doing a lot of these martial arts, to make sure they improve my skills. Because you can always learn something from a different martial arts, no matter what you do. Because I've done that to help with my weapons training. I've done Aikido to help with my weapons training as well. And you're becoming more a rounded martial artist, hence me doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in recent times. But my core is obviously Japanese traditional Jiu-Jitsu. At the same time, there's lots of different styles of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu out there as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. So as you say, it's that rounded sort of experience, isn't it? So with the martial arts, again, I hear this over and over and over again, and I wanted to get your take on it because I speak to so many people and they say, the reason I started martial arts is because I wanted to gain more confidence. I wanted to feel less frightened or less scared and things like that. And it's a regular theme that you get throughout. And a lot of people I talk to say that. Now, obviously, you've written books on this particular subject. And so I'd be fascinated to hear your particular version and your take on martial arts and confidence building.
Well, indeed, I mean, martial arts, whichever form it's taught properly, can definitely boost people's confidence. And when I was growing up in the early years in the UK, from an Indian origin, unfortunately, I faced a lot of racism, and that had a challenging impact on my life and my family's life. So I thought martial arts is one way to boost confidence, and I wasn't that confident. I was quite a relatively small individual, and over time, I started doing martial arts at university, because as a child growing up in an Asian family, you want to focus on your studies, and that's definitely helped open my eyes in terms of how to conduct your body language, how to make sure that you can utilize what skills you have. You don't have to be strong in martial arts. At the same time, if you boost your skill level, then you know that you can actually get yourself out of trouble. So with it, whether it's you're learning through movement, kicking, punching, locking, at the same time, in this, we've had competitions in our martial arts. So I've won a number of gold medals over the years. I'm not doing as much competing these days, but that can boost confidence. The fact that you're defending yourself against multi-arm attackers, and you're coming out without a scratch, that's always nice. There's always some bruises along the way as well. So yes, and that's helped me to write the books on something called Little Pocket of Confidence, and how to deal with stress and adversity. So, and all these things, whether you're dealing with bullying for young children, we need to make sure they give them the right tools to not just to defend themselves, but to use verbal skills to avoid trouble. Your body language skills to keep out of trouble. Because at the end of the day, most martial arts, if it's taught properly, you don't get into fights. You avoid fights.
Yes, absolutely. Or you do it in the right areas, such as competition and stuff. Totally.
Yes.
But you mentioned there that you do a lot with the universities and things. So you're ideally situated, if you like, to impact on people at a very, very important period of their lives when they're just going into adulthood and can, if you like, be open to a lot of outside influence, not all of it necessarily good. So do you think that's that really helps people through that journey, through the university journey, and their start into adulthood?
Absolutely. I've taught at a number of different universities, from Manchester University, Salford, Nottingham University, Nottingham-Trent, Loughborough. So quite a few universities. And my experience is that martial art, like Jiu-Jitsu, definitely helps the individuals There can be relief stress because of a lot of exams that they have to go through. Something physical, like increases cardiovascular fitness, as well as, getting sure that mental health is so important to overcome no matter what part of your life you're experiencing, especially through lockdown. And as you know, your clubs and what you were teaching, I'm sure, experienced lockdown, and people were missing the physical aspect of martial art. You can do it over webinars, but it's nothing better than meeting up with individuals who love the aspects of martial art to help them boost their confidence and their skills. So definitely it's helped people in further life, even though they may have stopped doing martial art in the future. They've always gone back and said, I've learned so much from my sensei and from my martial arts.
No, again, I agree. So, so moving on then, with regards to the festival itself, do you have a sort of idea of what you're going to be presenting?
Yes, I mean, there's a few different areas I'm looking at in terms of jab cross and dealing with how to do that. Whether someone's trying to grab hold of you as well, you've got your clinches and utilizing your Russian armbar, introducing the atemi striking and takedown and follow through. So these are some of the areas that we can explore. At the same time, it'd be nice to know what other things are being taught, so we're not doing too much overlapping. But we can always put our own flavor to things, can't we?
So yeah, one of the interesting things about that is that, yes, we'll have lots of different people there, lots of different styles and organizations, and so there may be some overlap. But what will be great about that is actually that everybody will be coming from it from their own particular viewpoint, as you say. And so that's actually quite an interesting possibility, is that even though it might be similar things, there'll be different ways of looking at it. So actually that's a really good thing. So just to wrap up then, for those that, if they want to get in touch with you before the festival itself, how can they reach you?
Yeah, we have a website, bradfordjitsu.co.uk, and we're on Facebook under Bradford Jitsu, and you can find me on TikTok as well under Bradford Jitsu, or my own name, Raj Soren. As part of these sessions, we may introduce some defense against weapons as well, so that would be fantastic. Okay,
no, that's great. Really looking forward to it. So thank you very much for coming on. I will put the link to the website in the comments below. And so we look forward to seeing you then, my friend. Thank you very much for speaking to us today.
I look forward to the festival.
Thank you.